Usually when we translate a TV show or a movie into another language, we're talking about dubbing or subtitling, but occasionally producers will hire translators way in advance, long before production begins, to translate the script. They do this if they're trying to get financial backing from people who can't read the original language that it's going to be filmed in, or if they're trying to pre-sell their production to digital streaming services around the world. And because there's so much money at stake, it requires high-quality human translations. Personally, the way I maintain that level of quality is by translating them in a CAT tool, such as Trados or MemoQ, or the one I use now, which is Cafe Tran Espresso. The tricky part is that almost all TV and movie scripts are not written in Word. They're written in a program called Final Draft, which is a specialized word processor for screenwriters, and it has its own file format, which, as far as I can tell, no CAT tool can open or import natively. But before I was a translator, I worked in information technology for a very long time, and half of IT work is fooling hardware and software into doing things they were never designed to do. So that's what we're going to do today. We are going to fool your CAT tool into letting you import, open, and translate Final Draft files. Now, for starters, how do you know if your client has sent you a Final Draft file? You look at the file name extension, that's the dot and 3 letters at the end of the file name, and it'll say FDEGS. And what does a Final Draft script look like? It looks like a normal movie script. And screenwriters really like this program because it's got all the formatting presets they need for things like indicating the setting and character movements and character names and dialogue. And this is what the file looks like if you open it in Final Draft. But to solve this problem, I had to see what the code behind the files looks like. And this is what it looks like. It's an XML format with tags. It looks an awful lot like the format behind web pages. You don't need to know that, but it got my attention because CAT tools can translate web pages. So I thought, what if we just change the file name extension from FDX to HTM and import it into a CAT tool, and maybe the CAT tool will be fooled into thinking it's a web page and let us translate it. And it works. First, we need to make sure your client is okay with the approach I'm about to describe. Explain that using CAT software, which is a kind of translation management software that runs locally on your own computer, offers advantages in terms of consistent translation and better quality control. But warn them that if you use this approach, some data embedded in their original file will be lost. For example, if they used different colored text or different colored page borders to indicate revisions, the color data probably won't survive in the translated file. Also, any marginal notes or revision history indicating which screenwriter changed which lines and when probably will not be there. But the whole script will be intact, along with the title page data in a beautifully formatted Final Draft file. Let's start with step 1, configuring your CAT tool. Most TV and movie scripts are highly confidential, so we want to make sure our CAT tool is configured to not use online machine translation or online AI services and won't send the script anywhere outside our computer. During the translation process, yes, you can leverage AI as a jumping-off point for research, but not usually to draft translations of this type of document. Step 2, before we actually translate the script, we need to fix the way it is segmented. That's because Final Draft treats every word as a separate segment, and if we import the Final Draft document directly into our CAT tool, we'll usually end up with thousands of one-word segments, which is not helpful, right? We want segments that are whole sentences. So, to get those full sentence segments, we're going to open the file in a different script writing tool that has better segmentation than Final Draft. That program is called Fade In. It's a movie script writing program available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and it costs a little less than Final Draft. So, to fix the segmentation, we import the Final Draft script into Fade In, and then we immediately re-export it back to Final Draft format. So now, some of you are probably thinking, we don't really need to do this resegmenting thing, right? I mean, just give me the one-word segments and I'll combine them into bigger segments. I'll go join, 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 and then I'll copy the tags and problem solved. It sounds like a good idea, but I strongly advise against it. Aside from being really time-consuming, it is way too easy to mess up the coding and corrupt the file. So, now we've done steps 1 and 2, and we go on to step 3. We make a copy of the source file, and on the copy, we change the file name extension from .fdx to .htm, so that our cat tool will think it's a web page and let us translate it. And now we set up a project in our cat tool and use this supposed HTML file as the source text. So now we can translate this final draft file the way we would translate any other document. Our term-based glossary entries will pop up, we can make new term-based entries as needed, and we can leverage our existing translation memories. So let's do a demo. Here's a little TV script I made up for a fictional Spanish language sitcom about a group of penguins who work at a translation agency on a chunk of ice in Antarctica. Here's the original Spanish on the left, and I'm going to translate it into English in Cafe Tran Espresso. One really important thing when you're translating these files, do not add or change formatting. In particular, do not add italics. No matter how important you think it is to emphasize some particular word, do not add italics. What will happen is, if you do, when the file moves back into Final Draft, it will delete every word you italicized, and sometimes it will delete the entire rest of the line. So just don't add italics, and I imagine the same holds true for boldface, although I have not experimented with that. So let's say we're done translating and we've done our quality control, and it is now time to export the file from our cat tool back into Final Draft format. Now, when it exports, it's still going to have that .htm at the end of the file name. Remember, before we translated it, we changed the file name extension from fdx, which is the Final Draft format, to .htm, which is the web page format. And now we're going to change it back from HTM to FDX and see if Final Draft is willing to open it. And voila, we have exported a perfectly valid, well-formatted Final Draft file. If you're interested in videos about linguistic curiosities and translation, be sure to like and share the videos and subscribe to the channel.